Streets of Cincinnati, welcome to the jungle! Let's go. Stripes, 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 yeah, stripes, 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 yeah. Orange in the day, black in the night. Stripes in our veins, sparks gonna fly. The beast is awake, orange, black and white. Cause when the jungle come alive, who day we ignite in our Cincinnati, we gon' rise in in the jungle we unite in dripping orange and black and white. Who day when we fight, live and die in these stripes. Wake up the beast, every day is a feast. Time to bust it off the leash. In the jungle dripping heat, tigers stripe the city streets. East side stand up, west side stand up. If you reppin' who day, time to put your hands up. Bingo stripes, we in it. New day, new age, yeah, we get it. Cincinnati jungle fitted. Who day in our house, we win it. Orange and black and white, we build it. Earn our stripes, you know we kill it. Bleed our colors, jungle dripping. Nasty, natty, yeah, we live it. Lit the crowd, get the city loud. Yeah, we feasting now. Fit the pounce, make the city howl. Now we beastin' now. Thunder through the tunnel, from the sideline to the huddle. Stripes we tatted on the jungle when we flex that who they muscle on them. Stripes, Cincinnati, we gon' rise in in the jungle we unite in dripping orange and black and white. All day when we fight, live and die in these stripes. Stripes. Now who gotta move like it on? Stripes. Now who wanna move crossing on? Stripes. Now who wanna move on? If you got stripes and you let the city know you rock 'em, yeah we got 'em, yeah we fought 'em. Like that black and orange on bottle, bingo bottle, never stop it till the beast and know who they rockin' with the diamond stripes, flossing on the ring. Cincinnati, she's our queen, we gon' show the world who king. Orange in the day, black in the night. Stripes in our veins, sparks gonna fly. The beast is awake, orange, black and white. Cause when the jungle come alive, who day we ignite in Cincinnati, we gon' rise in the jungle we unite in dripping orange and black and white. All day when we fight, live and die in these stripes. Now who gotta move like it on? Now who wanna move crossing on? Now who wanna move on? All day when we fight, live and die in these stripes.
Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to the show. This is Sports with Strawberry Ice. I'm your host, the Iceman, Jeff Trunapole. And as always, I'm bringing you sports from a West Side point of view right here in the great city of Cincinnati, Ohio, home of Jackpot Joey Burrow and the first place Cincinnati Bengals. God, I can't wait till Sunday. Now, do me a favor. If you found the show, hit that like and subscribe button. Smash that thumbs up. I'm up to 1,428 subscribers. That is awesome. I appreciate every single one of you guys. Now, if you're watching on Facebook or Twitter and you have yet to subscribe to my channel, please do so. Go to the YouTube channel, Sports with Strawberry Ice. Hit the button for subscription, hit the bell for the notification, and every time I go live, you'll be notified. Also, exclusively in the YouTube chat crew, we're doing super chats. So if you want to support what I'm doing or give me a super chat and make sure it's that it's written, give me a super chat. I would greatly appreciate it. Now I'm coming to you live from the Ice Cave, and the Ice Cave is brought to you by T Properties. T Properties, quality housing for quality people. Check out the website at www.tpropertiesllc.com for all your rental property management needs and your rental needs. All right, guys, it is Thursday. It is one day away from a fun football Friday show. We got the Bengals versus the Ratbirds on Sunday. Big divisional game. The division lead is in the balance. I cannot wait. I talked to Matt Ritchie. I was on a text chain with him earlier today. He's the head of the season ticket booth. We are very, very close to being sold out, which is awesome. That's what we want. And hopefully sold out to Bengals fans. So if you have not bought a ticket yet and you want to buy a ticket, they're going fast. I would get on it and get it going. So Pro Bowl selections came out today. Some interesting stuff from Wink Martindale about Jamar Chase. But let's get to my guest. He's one of my favorite guys. My favorite California guy, I put it that way, because, well, I don't know too many California guys. But here's my boy, Anthony Cosenza.
Love that picture. Love that picture. What's up, Iceman? How you doing, bud?
Good, brother. Good. How's your Christmas I should say shopping going, because we are very, very close. Are you get everything done yet? I'm still working on it.
I think so. It's one of those years where I kind of feel like I don't know how well I did shopping. I think I got it done, you know what I mean? But yeah, I don't know. I think it's pretty much done now. It's more just kind of finishing up the wrapping and getting it all figured out for tomorrow. But I'm doing all right otherwise. How are you doing, bud?
Good, man. I actually got a nice little present today from Matty Myers. He hooked me up with this Bengals watch. I don't know if you can really see it. It's on my wrist.
Nice.
It's kind of.
Hey, yeah, tell Maddie I've been wearing that Jackpot Joey hat out in Cali. So
awesome,
I meant to wear it today, but I've been running around like a crazy guy today, so I didn't pop it on for the show. But I have been wearing that bad boy.
No worries. We appreciate you wearing it. And like I said, if you guys want any Jackpot Joey stuff, portions of the proceeds go to the Joe Burrow Hunger Relief Foundation. So you can hit it up at jackpotjoey9.com. All right, big game. Friday. Tomorrow's Friday. Sunday. How are you feeling right now, a couple of days out from it? I'm excited. I think we're going to win. What's your thoughts on it?
I have said this to a couple of other people. I'm being pulled in both directions. There is a part of me that believes that the Bengals have this one in the bag, particularly based on what we saw the first time, and the Bengals beating them up pretty good. And then the condition of the roster for the Ravens going into this one is unbelievable, really. Be it from injury or COVID or both, they've got a lot of issues, and it also, provide the issues on the roster are in areas where the Bengals exploited the issues last time around when they did have a more complete roster. So, so there's a lot of that is playing into like, hey, I feel pretty good about this one. The other side of me is I've watched the Bengals for a long time. They've dropped some important games. I'll just kind of say it politely that way.
Right.
And the fact of the matter is, I've said this phrase a couple of times. When is the last time you've seen the Baltimore Ravens lose 4 in a row? So their backs are against the wall. I don't, even though the point spread's pretty close, I don't know that a lot of people are giving the Ravens a shot. I don't know. A lot of things point to, when you just look at it, maybe it's paralysis by overanalysis, but as you just look at it, this seems to be a game that the Bengals should win, though.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you said. The scary part is, when's the last time the Rabbits lost 4 in a row? But also, like you said, they are so injured and have so many COVID things. Like Foxy says here, and a couple people asked me this: do you think the game will get postponed? I don't know. I hope not. I didn't think they were going to postpone any games, or I won't say postpone, reschedule any games this year. But then the Clowns game last week they did. So who knows? I'm pretty confident that we're going to take this. I think the Bengals have the better team. I think Wink Martindale's confidence in his defense and not wanting to double team Jamar Chase, even though, what happened last time. I mean, this is what he said. He said he would not double team Jamar Chase like he did Devontae Adams. Adams is one of the top 2 receivers in the league. He's not. Number 2, Aaron Rodgers is a Hall of Fame quarterback. I don't think he's ready for a gold jacket, me and Joe Burrow. Now, I mean, I can't disagree with that stuff, but did he remember the last game? Jamar Chase.
Can you put that graphic back up? Do you mind?
Yeah.
Okay. So where the quote should have ended is after Hall of Fame QB. I don't think it needed to be, and I don't think we're ready to buy a gold jacket. Like, why would you even add that? You can just say, you know what? We have a game plan in place for Jamar Chase. You didn't need to say, like, we're not doubling him because he's not Devontae Adams. And then the last part of it, and I'm not, like, why would you even do that?
I don't know, man. I honestly don't know. I mean, I can just see Joe going, okay. All right, we'll see. We'll see. Okay.
And by the way, sorry to interrupt.
No, God.
By the way, Joe Burrow didn't make the Pro Bowl. He's an alternate.
Yes.
How well do you think that sits with a guy that always has a chip on his shoulder?
Exactly.
You going into this week, and then you've got a quote like that. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know.
Right. I mean, I don't really know necessarily how much these guys need billboard material, but I'm sure it helps as far as give you more motivation. But yeah, the Pro Bowl selection was Trey Hendrickson, Jamar Chase, and Joe Mixon. which I'm fine with all those. I was kind of surprised Joe Burrow didn't get on there. I mean, his Pro Football Focus grades are off the charts all year. He just hasn't had the big dominating 400-yard game that he had last year. He had multiple ones of those last year. I guess that's the reason they keep him out. But I was a little shocked that Joe Burrow did not make the Pro Bowl. How were you surprised on that?
I was a little shocked because, when you see, I mean, not that Lamar Jackson is not deserving, but he's up there in interceptions. He's missed a little time with injuries and whatnot. So you kind of figure, maybe Joe Burrow gets the nod there. The thing that kind of irritates me with it, though, it's not just not getting the Pro Bowl nod. He's not getting enough recognition for Comeback Player of the Year. He's not getting enough recognition for Most Valuable Player. And so you go, oh, man, I mean, what's this guy got to do? Because there are a lot of nice pieces that have been added to the Bengals over the past couple of off seasons in the draft and free agency. But I mean, there's no doubt that Joe Burrow's the heart and soul of this team, and he's the leader of this team. This team. Uzama had a quote. I don't want to misquote him, but he said essentially something. I'm not even checking with the coaches anymore. I'm just basically running the routes the way that Joe wants me to run the routes. I mean, that's a guy who's been in the league since 2017, 2018. Right. So when he's sitting there saying that about his quarterback, I mean, that tells you a lot of what you need to know in terms of his control of the offense and his standing with the team. So, it's not just the Pro Bowl. It's the Pro Bowl in conjunction with the other awards. And you know what? It's kind of like, well, who the hell cares if it nets postseason wins or a postseason berth or both,
If we win a Super Bowl, I could care less. But to me, it kind of goes to the whole narrative that we had all year that Cincinnati doesn't get the respect from the national media, from its peers, yada, 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 all that stuff. They're going to have to go out and take it. And I think this, Pro Bowl snub, and I'm going to call it a snub, is more along that line of they just don't believe in us, don't think we're as good. I mean, let's be honest. Sports Illustrated had us winning 2 games this year. I should have made the bet. I should have. They said 6 games. And I knew we were going to win more than 6 games. Yeah. I'm kicking myself. I knew I was going to, but that's just where I'm at with this. And it's not really surprising, but it just gives more fuel for the Bengals to go, all right, we'll see. Yeah. We'll show you. We'll see. We'll see what happens here. Aaron here says, he says, are there any changes that you would make on the coaching staff if we somehow don't make the playoffs? I haven't even thought about that yet. What's your thoughts? Or you got a thought on it?
Wow. I think you got to give a lot of credit to a couple of new coaches or newer coaches that they've brought in. Pollock being there, of course. Marion Hobby, defensive line coach.
Huge.
What an addition he's been. Troy Walters, who, by the way, Bengals Nation, if you didn't see Troy Walters, I haven't heard an update, but his young son was in the NICU, so I hope everything is well there. But Troy Walters doing really a pretty dang good job with the wide receiver group. So I'm a little hard pressed to sit here and say, I don't know. I mean, unless there's a full collapse, do you focus in on Zach Taylor? I think this coaching staff, based on what we've seen this year, unless there's a complete fall apart over these next 3 weeks, I think it stays largely or pretty much all intact for next year, and they kind of run it back next year and say, okay, this is now year 3 with Burrow and the whole group. We really got to let it go here, and then let the chips fall where they may. There, I just offhand, I don't really see any that is a coach that's standing out to me that says he needs to go.
Right. That's kind of where I'm at. I mean, unless there's a complete and we lose the next 3 games, then maybe something might change then. But I don't personally see us losing. I think we're going to win the next 2 out of 3. I think Kansas City might be lost, but I think we're going to beat the Ratbirds. I think we're going to beat the Clowns. But how just take back to a year ago. What were we talking about a year ago? We're talking about draft picks. Lou, I would call him Anarumo at the time because I didn't like his defense, but Lou I call him Armadillo, so I forget my own nickname. But Lou Anarumo, he's got to go. Zach's got to go. Everybody's got to go. We got to protect Joe. We got to do also. A year later, Anthony, we're in first place.
Mm-hmm.
We're this close from winning the division. We're this close to going to the playoffs. This is awesome, and I keep trying to tell everybody, enjoy it. And I'm a Bearcat fan. So we had a great season with the Bearcats, and we got, we're in the college football playoffs. I mean, to be a Cincinnati football fan this year has been so much damn fun. More fun than I've had. I'm almost 47. This is the most fun I've had in 47 years. I'll tell you that as far as being a Cincinnati football fan.
Well, it's not just Bengals first place at like Halloween or Bengals first place at Thanksgiving. It's Bengals first place in the division at Christmas.
Right.
So I mean, it's kind of something where you go, hey, this is pretty cool, because we kind of just wanted them to go to the postseason and make noise, etc. But I mean, I think we all kind of would have been like, hey, if they showed positive strides and they were kind of in the picture and they were making things interesting down the stretch a little bit, we would have taken it. But now they have a real opportunity to get into the postseason, and as a possible division winner, depending on how it all plays out, they could host a playoff game. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that could play out here, and there are inconsistencies. There are ups and downs with this team that I think we all predicted would have come with a young team, but they're a lot of fun in a lot of different ways, and they've grown up pretty quick for a young team. So, and I think you can agree, Jeff, that when they're good and when they're on, they are really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
they're not beating themselves.
Right.
Yeah.
They don't turn the ball over. They're an elite team. I mean, I think I wrote this down real quick. I think I'm right. When they're one turnover or less this year, they're 8-1. I think that's right. I got that real quick from Dave Lapham. But that's when they're on, there isn't a team in football I think that can really play with them with the talent and everything. That's including the defense. And the part that shocked me the most, still is shocking to me, is how good this defense has been. And I got to give it to my boy Eli Apple. What a great pickup. I mean, just Duke Tobin and the drafts he had this year, the free agents that he signed, other than Trey Waynes, which I keep harping on him, the last 2 years, what free agent or draft pick hasn't contributed to the Bengals?
They've done a pretty good job of collecting talent. I mean, there are some questions if you're talking draft picks. I mean, you kind of can make an argument for a couple of recent second round picks. Jackson Carman's been in and out of the lineup. He actually had some okay moments last week. And then you can go back to Drew Sample, who, you look at the draft picks there, but I mean, free agency wise, they're getting a lot out of most of these players. And I know everybody likes to focus in on Trey Waynes and the lack of impact there. But when you look at, if you kind of take a step back and kind of take a mile high view of every transaction they've done really in the past couple of off seasons, Trey Henderson, DJ Reader, Larry Ogunjobi has 7 quarterback sacks this year.
That's the most surprising part for me for his play is the quarterback sacks. I knew he'd be a run stopper, but getting pressure on the quarterback has been awesome.
Yeah, and then you've got BJ Hill. They're making, so for every Trey Waynes, there's 5, 6, 7 guys. Oh, by the way, their big free agency acquisition this year is a Pro Bowler. So,
right.
You got to kind of tip your cap to what they've been doing there. Eli Apple, I've been asked a lot about him. I've been on some other Ravens shows this week and been asked a lot about him because he's starting to kind of talk and put some stuff publicly out there about the Ravens this week, and that's not sitting too well with that contingent of fans. But my answer to it has been, he started off pretty poorly. He was thrust into a role in which that was not the one that was envisioned for him because of Trey Waynes.
Right.
And since he has slowly played into, he's okay, to respectable, to pretty dang good at times. So, he's talking his noise. I hope it doesn't blow up in his face this week because he's talking his noise a little bit. But he can at least for now he can do it because he's been backing it up on the field, especially in the middle and later part of the season. Yeah.
Now, one thing I got to ask you, and I'm a little off topic, but every time you call on the show, I keep wanting to ask you this: your stuff in the background. Where did you get all this? And what's the big one in the top corner above your head? The big Bengal head.
That one.
What is that?
So I'll tilt it up. That is an old from like the 1920s Royal Bengals cigars, like old advertisement. My wife found it on like eBay or something and had it framed. So it's one of those old school. It's not like the tin, the old tin cigarette tin deals. Yeah. It's not. It's actually like cardboard or like a poster. But I think it's really cool. Actually,
Yeah,
it has
I
nothing to
always
do with actual Bengals. It's just pretty cool. And then up at the very top, the Cincy Jungle shirt. I
Mhm.
wore that years and years ago to the 2013 game against the Chargers, and I had a bunch of players, and Mike Brown signed the thing and all
Oh,
kinds
wow.
of stuff. Yeah, so I just kind of some stuff. I've collected some pictures of us at family members and
Right,
stuff
right,
of us
right,
at
right.
games, and
Yep.
I know this side. Wait,
Yeah,
this
I know.
side. He who shall not be named is right up
Yes,
there.
I knew who that guy was.
Yeah. So just a bunch of kind of collection of stuff, and I've got some other stuff in my car. I've got crap everywhere. So
Yeah, so do I. You should see my ice cave down there. It's
well,
ridiculous.
yours is far more organized than mine. It looks
Oh,
like.
dude,
So,
I got more stuff in my closet that I could freaking. I'm running out of wall space. I need
yeah,
a bigger room. That's my problem. But yeah, I've been always wanted to ask you. I'm like, what?
yeah.
Especially the one above your head. I'm like, that looks so cool. Well, I couldn't figure out if it was cigars or cigarettes or what it was.
Yeah, it was an old school cigar poster from I think it was like the 1910s or 1920s, some
Dude, that's
way
awesome.
back there. So
That's awesome. So let's talk about the O-line situation now. Do we know is Fred Johnson started at right tackle and is Carmen Jackson starting at guard? Do we know that for sure yet, or has that even been announced?
I think it's to be determined. So you've got as of a recent injury report. So Joe Mixon did practice as of Thursday. Lamar Jackson did not. So I think for that situation, the Bengals probably might want to be preparing for Tyler Huntley there. I just would think that after not practicing Wednesday and Thursday, I don't know that Lamar Jackson's going to be in the game now. In terms of right tackle, Reef's obviously out.
Yeah.
There's going to be kind of an interesting situation there because you've got Prince in the mix, and you had Fred Johnson play. He was the number 2 rated Bengals player in terms of Pro Football Focus grade against the Broncos for his
Wow.
overall score. So yeah, I mean, do you give that another shot there? Hakeem Adeniji and he's got an ankle issue, but he was pulled from the game, and Jackson Carman went in there, and Jackson Carman played a little better. So you may just as weird as it sounds, they may just kind of go with the hot hand there, and obviously Reef being out changes things immensely, especially at right tackle. But I think it's to be determined at this point. I haven't heard too much in the way of that.
Okay. Now, last year, I haven't changed. I'm still a big Fred Johnson fan. I wanted him to be our starting right tackle last year instead of the swinging gate Bobby Hart.
Yeah,
But so that's why I could see him eventually, future wise, being a starting right tackle for the Bengals or somebody. So I'm okay with Fred. And to me, the thing with Jackson Carman is, I almost wish like they took the time they drafted him. I almost wish they just put him in there and leave him in there and let him develop. If they believed in him enough to spend a second round pick on him, keep pulling him in and out of the lineup. I don't know if that's going to help his development. So there's a lot of part of me that would just say put him in there and let's go. And if it goes bad, then you can yank him out. But I'd almost rather go with Jackson because you've already invested all this time and money into him, and you put it out there that he's going to be our future right guard. So why not put him out there? That's kind of where I'm at with Jackson Carman in the offensive line. Right
yeah. There's the problem is once one guy seems to show you something, then the next week or the next series it blows up on him. Jackson Carman has had, from what I can tell, and I'm not the most astute film guy, but I mean I check things out and I look for things here and there, and from what I can tell, he has a lot of wow plays and he has a lot of oh boy plays.
Yeah.
And so that it's trying to iron out and even that out a little bit, and it's just not having some of those drive killing type of plays from a young player. And I'm with you though. I kind of wish, even though they were able to collect wins and some of those things without some of these guys in the lineups, from a developmental standpoint and from a long-term stability standpoint, you kind of wish you gave these guys a little more time and a little more, some more snaps to be able to get. I mean, there's nothing better for a young player than to give them time and to give them snaps and reps and in games to really see what they can do. And, and then like you said, when you kind of play the musical chairs thing where one guy's in, one guy's out, then you've got the continuity issue. I think it was stabilized a bit this year with Jonah being healthy,
Mhm.
Riley Reef being in there early part of the season. Then you've got Trey Hopkins, who did not play overly well because
With knee
but
injury. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. But I think just having that familiarity there helps. Quentin Spain being there, who was there latter part of last year. So yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I wish I had a better answer for you, but I just had wished that they would give some of these guys some more snaps. Fred Johnson continues to intrigue me, though. I mean, there are
Mhm.
games where when he has started at left tackle and right tackle where he's played pretty well, and then there are other times where he has not played well and then has not been given another opportunity.
Right.
They tried him at guard last year in the first Cleveland game, and
Oh.
that was an absolute disaster.
Yeah. I don't ever want to see that
And he's
again.
not a guard. I mean, that's just
No.
he's too big, and
Yeah.
he's not a guard. So it'll be interesting to see what they do here. I do know that this staff likes Isaiah Prince, though. They really like him, and as evidenced by their usage of him, even when Riley Reef was healthy on a lot of jumbo package, the
Right.
Dennis Rowland package, right? Tackle
Yeah.
eligible.
I keep hoping they're gonna throw it to him sometime. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Ben said, "Is Iceman getting overloaded on certain stats with how Anthony's insightful answers are so in depth?" Dude, I'm flat.
I think
wore
that's a
out.
nice way of saying Anthony's talking too much.
That or I'm just flat wore out, dude. Like I said, these hours at work are killing me right now. So I got one more day, and hopefully I'll get some normal amount of sleep. I think that'll help because I know to me I look tired. All right, Natty wants to go. Why isn't Adeniji a backup tackle? He did play some tackle, I think, last year, didn't he? Adeniji?
He was slated to, and then he was kind of a backup guy. He came in that Titans game, remember? And
Yes. Oh yeah, yeah.
That was the game where the Bengals.
Spain's first game. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, he came in that game and played pretty well. And then I think they gave him a couple more shots later in the season. It just didn't work. And then he was injured this year. They like him, and they just, they try and figure out a spot for him. He's played some guard, he's played some tackle. And it's the same thing where I think, what was it? Was it the San Francisco game or maybe it was the Chargers game? One of those games he played well. And then the following week, he just, like last week.
Oh, it's the Chargers game.
Yeah,
Charger game played. San Francisco didn't play good at all. The
Yeah,
offensive line didn't play good.
yeah,
The whole
that's
offensive
what it
line
was.
didn't play good.
Yeah, that's what it was. So, and that's the problem with these guys, these young guys. And I think that's obviously it's got to be super frustrating for this coaching staff where it's like, just give us some consistency,
Right.
From game to game, from series to series. I mean, you got to give us some consistency. And even if it's, average to even slightly above average play, you got to just be consistent. And it's, I don't know. These guys kind of tease you, right? I mean, it's
yes.
like,
Well, that's one thing I've said about this offense. People keep like, why can't we be consistent? I said, well, if we can get consistent play out of your offensive line, it's going to make it a lot easier for your offense to be more consistent. So once they figure that out, which like, I agree, which drives me nuts. There's games where it's like, all right, we're on the right page. I think we maybe trending in the right direction and figuring this out. And then you have games like San Francisco, which you got to give the 79ers credit. They got Nick Bosa. I mean, he's an elite pass rusher. There's not a lot of teams that can block him, but it still drives you nuts. It's like, we're so close to being a consistently good to a slightly above average offensive line, and then we fall backwards. That's kind of the way this team has been this year too, because and I always chalk it up to being a young team. And there's a ton of guys in their first or second year on this team, so it's been up and down and up and down, and that's what happens a lot with young teams and with young offensive lines. And moving forward next year after that, it's going to get more smoothed out. But that's kind of what happens when you have a young team, I think, with just the way this is going.
Right. And just to reiterate and kind of somewhat answer your question from a little bit ago there about Isaiah Prince, Fred Johnson. Isaiah Prince, I've been kind of looking at the Cincy Jungle injury report and other sites, All Bengals and others that have been reporting on who's been practicing, who's not. Prince has been practicing. So kind of my thought would be, if Prince is healthy to go, he would be the guy that would start, even with Fred Johnson playing pretty well last week. But maybe it's another short leash situation where if he stumbles again and they liked what they saw last week from Fred, maybe he's the guy who comes in game and they
which
tried
I
to
hope
stabilize
not. 'Cause
things.
we saw that so much last
I
year.
know.
That's why I'd rather just, if you're ever going to pick, just pick and go, unless they are just absolute garbage. You have to move them, but
That's not my personal preference.
no,
I've
no,
just
no.
seen this coaching staff do that, you
Yes,
know?
no, I agree with what you're saying, and I want consistency. I want the same guys in there.
Mhm.
Which, and, when we were going 5-2, we had the same guys in there, and it was going good.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. That's continuity. Which, I mean, you got injuries and stuff happens. So it's, every team's dealing with injuries right now. It's just a matter of how you handle it.
Yeah.
But the big matchup that I want to talk about on Sunday is, I think, the two best kickers in all of football are going to go head to head. You got Money Mick versus Tucker. One is the GOAT, one's the future GOAT as far as kickers go. You think this might come down to a game-winning kick by one of those two?
I would normally say so, except for the calls of 2-point conversions that Harbaugh's been doing at the end of games.
Right, exactly.
Normally I'd be like, but
by the way, we thank him for that too. Those are great calls. I think he should keep it up.
So I mean, I think that those guys are going to get their shots in this game for sure, and the hope is that Evan McPherson ends up having a career that somewhat resembles Justin Tucker's, right? I mean, Justin Tucker is unbelievable, but we can talk about how Chase, or especially early in the year, was a guy that was like directly responsible for a lot of the wins that they had early in the season, but quietly their 5th round pick, I mean, he's doing a lot of work to win game. I mean, last week
you're not supposed to draft a kicker in the 5th round. You can pick him up anywhere. I heard that so many times. Sorry, go ahead.
I know, but he's Jake Elliott, who, right? I mean,
exactly.
We all were like clamoring for Jake Elliott for years and years and years. They draft him and they let him go, and he ends up being pretty good for the Eagles. And now they draft this kid, and he's been awesome. It's no kick is too big. He's missed a couple of untimely ones, but I mean, overall, kid's been awesome. Yeah, he's been awesome. Last week was just silly. I mean, I knew it would be easier for him in the altitude, but I was like, dude, 58 yards. That's just unbelievable.
Well, he probably could hit it from 60.
Yeah.
It went well past.
Oh yeah.
The goalpost. I was just like, holy smokes. But I'm glad you brought that up. And that's one thing people get on Zach Taylor about not being aggressive at certain times. Then other times he is aggressive, which I think he needs to get a little bit better at when to go for it, when not to. That was a great time to go for it. As soon as he missed that kick, Denver missed the kick. I looked at my son. I'm going, dude, we get one play, we got a chance. I said, it's Evan McPherson, and it's thin air. He's like, really? I'm like, yeah. And TB got open, hit him wide open, and bam! Next thing you know, Evan's out there and blasted a field goal. So we went from potentially being down, to winning at halftime like that.
That was a gigantic momentum swing in that game. It's a 6-point swing, and you go, oh, big deal, field goal before halftime. But when you're the Broncos, you went down there, you missed it, and then immediately the Bengals get a 19-yarder to Boyd, puts him in awesome position. Well, not awesome, but close enough.
Close enough,
to get him, to get him down there, and for McPherson to hit that. If you're the Broncos, you're like, what just happened?
You're
it's in a matter of seconds. You're like, what? So
that's that too. People like last week. Oh, you barely beat the Broncos. I'm like, Broncos are a good team. Honestly, I think they're a quarterback away from being a pretty darn good team, in my opinion.
They've got a lot of talent, and they're even when they're not that great, they seem to be a tough beat for the Bengals and for a lot of other teams. And look, I mean, that's kind of the talking point for this week, right? It's like, well, that wasn't a very convincing win, and they've got tough games coming up, and all of that makes sense, and I agree with that. But sometimes those tough wins are the ones that you look back on and you go, that was kind of, I mean, I guess if I'm going old school coach style on you, that's kind of the character building win, or a season building win where that was just an ugly game. We weren't doing a lot on offense. Our defense kept us in it. Our special teams kept us in it. And you just kind of, if you're able to win ugly, I mean, they've shown that they can win pretty, right? With a lot of points. Right. And if you can win ugly, especially this time of year, it's like,
this time of year, dude, this time of year, to me, it doesn't matter as long as you freaking win, because everybody's fighting like crazy for the playoffs. They're all injured. If you get a win, take it. Now you've been on for almost a half hour. Now you say you can't go the whole hour. You
No,
good
I'm
for one
good.
time?
I'm good. No, I
You're
think I'm
good?
good. Yeah, I
Okay.
think I'm good.
All right. Okay. Cool. Then we'll just keep talking.
Yeah.
Now, I had something else on. Oh yeah, linebackers here. Now that's this one that does concern me about the game because this defense has been designed to stop, in my opinion, one guy. And that's Lamar Jackson. That's why we drafted Logan Wilson. That's why we drafted Akeem Davis Gaither. We got Pratt and we got Bailey, and I don't know who's behind them. That worries me a little bit. Now, Pratt played, I think, a hell of a game. I think Marcus Bailey played a game. So I'm not necessarily worried about those two. It's the guys behind them. What's your thoughts on the linebacking core for going into this game?
Yeah, no Bocce. It looks like Logan Wilson's not going to be available, so they're going to have to put things together. And Wilson's played a couple of good games against the Ravens too, so that's going to sting. So Pratt's really stepped up. I mean, dude had 15 tackles last week.
Right.
It was just unbelievable.
Right.
And he's starting to play really good football. But the other quiet one that stings this week too, he's been out for a little while, but Davis Gaither being out of the lineup hurts because, tight end coverage and just kind of more, he's kind of that athletic guy, does a lot of different things. And, it just worries you a little bit. So they're going to have to figure out something. I mean, the Bengals haven't had a ton of injuries, but I mean, if you look down the line, Jordan Evans, Joe Bocce, Logan Wilson, Akeem Davis Gaither, I mean, it's like, oh man, that position got ravaged. So one bright spot, and he kind of holds a special spot in my heart here because he was on our show a while ago after he was drafted, was Marcus Bailey, though. He played really well last week. So, he's a guy that I don't know that he'll ever be a star. I don't know that he'll ever be a good, continual starter. But I think for a stopgap guy, and as he gets more another guy, you got to give him more snaps. You got to give him more time. He was an outstanding linebacker in college.
Oh, if he didn't get injured, he would have been a probably a second round pick. We have what, the sixth, I think,
the seventh. He was
seventh round pick.
Guy. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, he was a guy that was projected to be a higher round pick if he hadn't gotten injured. So that's another guy that we'll find out. I think it's a big game for him to contribute because the Bengals have had a problem for the last couple of years of covering the tight end. Now they did a good job against the Raptors last time. With the linebacking core and with Logan Wilson not being there, that's the part that does scare me of trying to stop, which off the top of my head, I cannot think of the Raptors tight end.
Mark Andrews.
Thank you, Andrews. Yeah, trying to stop him. So that's and it also depends if Lamar's in there. But I mean, if Lamar's not, their backup quarterback's been playing pretty good.
Yeah, I see. Just a comment, Ken Hammock in your YouTube. That's where I was talking about. Trey Flowers is a guy. He's a big corner. He can probably do something, and he's maybe a guy they look at this week. They like to do the 3 safety look with Ricardo Allen in there as well. He's not nearly as big as Flowers, but a guy that, he's kind of a little Swiss Army knife guy that can do a couple of different things. So they'll probably put it together. They'll have Bailey out there a little bit. Obviously Pratt will be out there. So, unfortunately I do expect Andrews to have a bigger impact this game than before because of the injuries and because he's a good player anyway.
Yeah,
but,
right.
And really the last couple of weeks, the Bengals have had some issues with covering tight ends. You had last week, Alberto. I don't even want to try and pronounce the last name there. And Noah Fant. Yeah, they both had a couple of nice plays, and then Kittle killed him the week before. Yeah. And so yeah, I mean, that matchup scares me a bit this week.
Yeah, exactly. That's the one that, like I said, if we were fully healthy and had Logan Wilson, I'd feel more confident about it. Because I think Logan Wilson showed he can cover them, and ever since Logan Wilson's been out, the tight ends on other teams have gone nuts on us, and more than they normally did. So that Logan Wilson has been a big loss. What's your thought? You heard anything if Logan's coming back before the year's up, or have you heard any news on him?
Well, I think that's the hope, and that's the expectation because they didn't put him on short-term IR. I think when we start to get into, I mean, I know we would all love to have him back this week for this game, but the hope is I would assume after this week, if there's still if he's still not practicing and not looking like he's going to play the following week, that that's kind of starting to get into worry time.
Right.
So I think we kind of expected that based on the injury. We kind of heard a little bit about that this was not going to, that this week was not going to be it. And then the fact that he didn't go on IR, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think after this week, it kind of gets into worrisome territory if he's still not practicing and stuff. I would assume maybe to, close up the season and obviously for a potential postseason berth, he'd be back for that.
Right. By the way, sorry for yawning there. You're
That's
very,
all right.
very.
I'm used to it. I'm a boring guy,
You're very, very interesting. Like I said, my hours at work are flat killing me. So I'm trying not to yawn. I'm trying this is not what you do an interview and you're yawning while you're talking to the guy. I'm like, that's great radio right there, or TV, whatever we're doing here.
That's anyway, all right.
But yeah, so the Bengals have done some interesting things with the IR this year. There's guys that some people think they should have put on, like Trey Waynes could have put him on earlier in the year, and then they didn't, and they put him on. Riley Reef, they didn't put him on, then he played. Now he's back on. So it's been very interesting to me how the Bengals have used the IR and haven't used it in certain ways. It's
yeah. I think it's a good rule change by the league to have the short-term IR or the IR return deal that's just provides way more flex. I mean, do you remember God, years ago, you'd have a guy that would have a high ankle sprain or something that really was maybe a month. And then you're like, oh, okay, well, now we got to just shelve him for the year. And then, and so having that flexibility where, you can lose a star for a little while, but then you could bring him back. And I don't know, it's a big plus by the league and a big plus for teams to be able to do that. And yeah, I mean, unfortunately too, to your point, sometimes teams maneuver that incorrectly or, they make the wrong decision and then they hang on to a guy on the roster too long or, I mean, the interesting thing with Waynes is they didn't do it early in the year and then they did it later. And not only did they do it later in the year, it was like for kind of a large amount of time. So it wasn't just like the 3-week deal and then let's see if he can bring back. It was multiple weeks. And so, yeah.
Now, is Cheeto, is he back? Is he playing this week?
As of Wednesday, I gotta see. I gotta look at this here, but as of Wednesday, he was still on. Yeah, so I think this is Wednesday's report. I think, and Chidobe Awuzie was still dealing with the virus. So I think as of Wednesday was on the COVID list. I'm still thinking he's going to be there, but that would be, I would think maybe towards the tail end of the week, based on the timeline of recovery and all that kind of stuff. He might be available, but regardless, Trey Waynes has to be a guy that steps up. He had a couple of issues last week. I know he's probably getting his footing back under him and all kinds of different things being thrust back into the lineup. But just in general, down the stretch, they need as many able cornerbacks going. So
exactly. Well, I'll tell you from experience, COVID takes you a little bit to get over it because I had it back right before Thanksgiving. I had it for 2 weeks. So it wears you out.
I'm glad you're doing better, buddy.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it. Like I said, I had a weird one. I didn't lose my taste or smell or any of that stuff. I just felt like crap for like 2 weeks. But I mean, it takes you, if you actually have it and you're actually sick, I understand between sick and asymptomatic. We don't even get into that stuff, but it will wear you out. So even if Cheeto does play this week, he might be limited in snaps. I would think personally.
The fatigue factor. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I agree that Waynes, I think we have a better chance of seeing Waynes with more snaps this week, being his second game back than last week. But dude, how many? There was 2 of them. He could have had 2 picks last week. 2 of them were right in his hands, or not right in his hands. One of them he dove, but the other was right there. I was like, oh my goodness! It's like, so that would have been a great way to come back and have a pick in your first game back.
Yeah.
Maybe all the naysayers would just a little bit.
I know.
All right, man. Well, it is almost it's 6:14. I'm tired. I love you. Thanks for coming on. You have a wonderful Christmas, a wonderful weekend. Give a shout out to Cincy Jungle, your podcast, all that stuff real quick before I let you go.
Yeah, all the stuff's on cincyjungle.com, part of the SB Nation Sports Blog Network. At Cincy Jungle is the Bengals blog, so go check it out. And our podcast is our show is the Orange and Black Insider. It's part of the Cincy Jungle podcast network that includes Orange is the New Black from Ace and Zim. I'm sure a lot of your listeners probably know about them, and of course Matt Minnick, who does Coach Speak and Chalk Talk. We all kind of tag team it and try and give you a lot of different content. We have our show a little bit later tonight. So tune in for that. We've got a cool interview with someone from the Ravens side of things, and we do fantasy football and all kinds. We got to get you back on the show, man.
That sounds good to me. Speaking of fantasy football, I made the playoffs. I was shocked.
I'm so happy for you. I did not. So.
Well, don't worry. I lost, so it's over.
Oh, okay.
but I told you I was going to dominate. Well, yeah.
What do you quickly? What's your prediction for this week? What are you feeling?
I think obviously I think the Bengals are going to win. I kind of do the same prediction every week, and I hate doing this, but I think it's going to be a Bengals win. But I think it's going to be close. I don't. It's an AFC North battle. They're usually not blowouts like they were last time. Usually not. And the Squealers, you blew them out twice. We blew the Ravens out. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think there's too much at stake. But I do think I think it personally could come down to a 2-point conversion at the end or a field goal or something like that. That's, as long as we control or hold on to the ball and somewhat contain Lamar and the tight ends, we got a shot. And you know what Joe said? You can't zero him. And the Ravens like do the zero blitzes. So I can see Chase going off again.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of for my predictions, like, changes with the weather, but I think just, the Bengals they can't get off to a sluggish start. They need to be able to get some points early and get some momentum early. And then you can plant that seed potential. I mean, the Ravens aren't down and out, but I mean, you can kind of say, wow, they're just overmatched because of the roster issues. Right. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that's kind of a key for me. And then, the halftime, the third quarter halftime thing, right, where you can score right before half and come right out in the third quarter. If they can do that kind of stuff that they were doing early in the year, I think they'll be successful. But I just worry about that, the mentality I said earlier about 4 games in a row that you lose and back against the wall type of stuff. I don't know. The Ravens just sometimes seem to respond pretty well to that. So I'm interested to see how that works out.
Well, hopefully things are changing and the Bengals will take advantage of that. But yeah, I agree with you. That's a good point you said about starting off fast. And that's one thing that the Bengals haven't done. They've been a better second half team than they have a first half. And I think moving forward to get a playoff win, to get a Super Bowl, they just moving forward, they got to start off faster with touchdowns. That's a big thing. Get out in front of them and make them chase the Bengals. That's what I think. But I'll be there in the jungle. I cannot freak.
You're going?
Oh yeah, dude. I got season tickets, brother.
I know. I just holiday weekend. I don't know.
I'm actually the cool thing is my sister-in-law. She's in town, and so I'm taking her. So me and her are going to go down and have a blast. We're gonna have like our own cool tailgate setup. We always do the Jackpot Joey tailgate, but then my buddy Tony's coming down, and my son and his wife are going to come tailgate with us, and my sister-in-law is going to be there. So we're gonna have our own big old tailgate party at Longworth Hall.
That's awesome.
It's gonna be a blast. I need to get some sleep so I can prepare.
Yeah. Go get some rest, man. Thanks for having me on. I'm a big fan of your show. I quietly watch in the background quite often throughout the week. Seriously. So I appreciate you having me on, man. Seriously.
No problem, Anthony. Always appreciate you, brother. Hey, Merry Christmas.
Back at you. See ya.
See you, buddy. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. And like I said, sorry if I'm a little because you know how you get so tired sometimes you can't get your brain to work? That's kind of where I'm at right now. So, but tomorrow I think I'm going to do a show tomorrow. We'll see how tomorrow goes. But if I do a show tomorrow, it'll be a fun Football Friday show. I don't have any guests scheduled as of right now. But it should be a fun show. But I will be on the Back Row Bengals podcast sometime tomorrow. So if you subscribe to the Back Row Bengals podcast with Josh, who's a great guy, I'll be on his show sometime tomorrow. So make sure you keep a heads up for that. And so I'll at least be on either my show or his tomorrow, depending on how things go in my life. All right, let's get to the Facebook groups that let me live stream. And as always, I appreciate every single one of them. They are Houday Nation, Houday Legion, Bearcat Country, Bearcat Ruckus, Cincinnati Reds, rounding third, heading for home, the Ohio State Bucknuts, the Ice Bar. And you can follow me on all my social media platforms, all under Sports with Strawberry Ice. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Twitter handle is at Jeff A. Trenopole. TikTok is at Iceman90. I'll be pulling this out off later on tonight. Put it on the podcast. So if you missed any of the interview with Anthony Cosenza, see, I can't even talk. You can check it out on the podcast. It's on BeanPod, Apple, iTunes, Google, Stitcher Play, pretty much wherever you get your podcast. Please make sure you rate, like, and a review. Give me a 5-star review. I would greatly appreciate it. Leave a comment so more Cincinnati fans can find my podcast. I would greatly appreciate it. YouTubers, my originals, we're at 1,428 subscribers. That is awesome. I appreciate every single one of you guys because, like I said, if it wasn't for you guys, I would not be able to do this. And other than that, if I don't see you guys Friday, make sure you subscribe. But if I don't see you Friday, have a wonderful weekend. Merry Christmas. Hopefully we'll all be rooting on having a Bengals victory Monday and watching the Bengals whoop up on the Ratbirds. But like I said, if I don't see you tomorrow, Merry Christmas and have a great day. And that's just sports, baby. See ya!
Let's go. Orange in the day, black in the night. Stripes in our veins, sparks gonna fly. The beast disawake, orange, black and white. Cause when the jungle come alive, Houday, we ignite in Cincinnati, we gon' rise in in the jungle, we unite in dripping orange and black and white. Houday, when we fight, live and die in these stripes. Wake up the beast, every game day is a feast. Time to bust it off the leash. In the jungle, dripping heat. Tigers strike the city streets. East side, stand up. West side, stand up. If you reppin' Houday, time to put your hands up. Bengal stripes, we in it. New day, new age, yeah, we get it. Cincinnati jungle fitted. Houday in our house, we win it. Orange and black and white, we build it. Earn our stripes, you know we kill it. Bleed our colors, jungle dripping. Nasty, natty, yeah, we live it. Lit the crowd, get the city loud. Yeah, we feasting now. Fit the bounce, make the city howl. Now we beastin' now. Thunder through the tunnel, from the sideline to the huddle. Stripes we tatted on the jungle when we flex that Houday muscle on them. Stripes, Cincinnati, we gon' rise in in the jungle, we unite in dripping orange and black and white. Houday, when we fight, live and die in these stripes. Stripes. Now who gotta move like it on? Stripes. Now who wanna move closing on? Stripes. Now who wanna move on? If you got stripes and you let the city know you rock 'em, yeah, we got 'em. Yeah, we fought 'em like that black and orange on